Hello guys, Xenoy here with another guide. This time it's for Orianna mid lane, and I think this champion is very versatile when it comes to the items, and she's definitely worth a try if you like a strong mage champ in your pool. I've been playing her since the end of season 8, and with the increased appearances in pro play, it feels appropriate to do a guide now. Feel free to share this video with people who might want to pick up Orianna as well. First coming to her abilities, we have the passive Clockwork Wind Up, whose first part allows her to be accompanied with a ball. She can control the ball with her abilities and the ball attaches to her when she touches it, but also blinks back to her after a certain range between her and the ball. The second part of the passive is called Clockwork Winding, which grants her basic attack bonus magic damage on hit, helping her to last hit minions and also punish enemy champions harder with auto attacks. Clockwork Winding can be stacked on a single target, dealing more on hit damage per stack. Orianna's Q is called Command Attack, and it is her main ability to work around with. This ability is pretty straightforward. You can cast it, and the ball moves into the direction you cast it, dealing damage to all enemies it passes through. Her W is called Command Dissonance, which if casted spawns a field at the location of the ball. Enemies who get hit by the impact of the field receive a chunk of damage, and get slowed when they are inside of the field. Allies, however, get increased movement speed while moving in the field. Orianna's E, Command Protect, has a passive which grants the holder of the ball bonus armor and magic resistance. When activated on an ally or Orianna herself, it commands the ball onto the target, dealing damage to all enemies passing through and then shielding the receiver on arrival. Coming to her iconic ultimate ability, Command Shockwave, we have a very strong area of effect ability which deals huge amount of damage and can turn complete teamfights around. When you cast Command Shockwave, the ball unleashes a shockwave which deals damage to all nearby enemies and also pulling them towards the ball. For the items, you will either start with Doran's Ring and 2 health potions, or a corrupting potion depending if you go Time Warp Tonic and Biscuit Delivery or not. After your first backpot, you preferably want to have a Lost Chapter and a refillable health potion combined with a Control Ward. Your priority should always be the finished Lost Chapter item for you. It grants Orianna such a huge power spike in terms of damage and control over the lane. After that, you either want to go for Sorcerer Boots if you are in need of some mobility. You can also go for an early Dark Seal if you feel like not dying in the next couple of minutes. Alternatively, you can also go for a part of your next item. Now you have a very broad choice of items you can purchase next. You can go for Liandry's Torment if the enemies have multiple champions that stack a lot of HP. Also, if it's needed, you can take Banshee's Veil or Sonya's Hourglass if you are in need of the defensive stats and effects. For a more aggressive playstyle to punish enemies who are not building magic resistance whatsoever, you can go for an Oblivion Orb. Together with your Sorcerer Boots, it grants you 33 magic penetration, so every enemy that has 33 or less than 33 magic damage gets a huge amount of damage from abilities, and also your auto attacks since they scale with AP. There are some niche items as well, starting with Void Stuff, which you obviously buy whenever the enemy begins to stack magic resistance. The next niche item is Spellbinder. 120 AP and 10% movement speed for only 2,900 gold is really cost efficient, especially if you activate the effect of it while doing a combo in a teamfight, for example. Also, I can only recommend Spellbinder if you know when to activate it. Try it out in a couple of normal games before you go into ranked game, just to never activate it correctly, because if not activated correctly, going Rabadon Deathcap instead of Spellbinder will always deal more damage in a fight if you don't know how to properly activate it. If you spot a lot of healing in the enemy team and you're in the need of healing reduction, you can go for a Morellonomicon. Also, it is definitely not cost efficient for you. If possible, ask your AD carry or bruiser to buy Executioner's Calling for only 800 gold, instead of wasting 3000 gold for Morellonomicon. Now there are 2 support items that you can go on Orianna if your team already has enough damage or you're not the primary carry. These items are Asene's Unholy Grail and Ardent Censer. Both grant AP and have a decent effect to help your team out. Obviously there's our major Soul Stealer, if you're just very fat and you feel like you won't be dying anytime soon. And now we got our Rabadon Deathcap. Orianna's abilities don't scale that much with AP, except the W and the R, but at some point in the game you need your Deathcap since it grants her a lot of ability power to work with, and also it mostly enables her one-shot potential. Now for the most important part, the 3 Lost Chapter items. Orianna is one of these champions that can utilize all 3 of the Lost Chapter items. First we have Luden's Echo, which is very good for wave clearing and also spreading the Liandry's Torment effect on multiple enemies, for example. The second item is Archangel stuff. It grants a heck ton of mana, and also your abilities cost less mana to cast. The most important part of Archangel though is the active ability when you fully stacked it, granting you a huge shield to defend yourself in situations of dives. The third and last item is Hector GLP, which I sadly see very rarely on Orianna, even though it grants a huge power spike and a lot of pressure while also being the cheapest item of these three. There are obviously some item combinations that make much more sense than others. For example, if you already see in champion selection that the enemies are generally a little bit more tanky and will buy HP whatsoever, you can already plan to go Ludens into Liandry's, as these items work very well together. If you already see yourself getting dived a lot by the enemy team, for example, they have a Rengar and a Kled for example, then you can already think about going Archangel into Zhonya's. Also, you should only do this if your team has enough damage already, since it delays your power spike drastically, since going Archangel and Zhonya's, well, you're missing out on the Spellbind and Rabadon Death Cap. Another combination is Luden's Banshees, which is very good against certain champion abilities, for example Zoe Vel'Koz or just an Ash Arrow or a Countess ult. And last but not least, we have GLP into Rabadons. You can go for this if the enemy team is very squishy overall. This build is very deadly, because the active of GLP scales with AP as well. And as we said before, with GLP you have a high pressure on the enemies, especially if you're sitting there with a Rabadon Death Cap in your inventory, ready to one-shot them when they get hit by GLP. Coming to the skill order, this is very straightforward. Max Q first, then W, and finally your E. Obviously, you scale your ultimate ability whenever you can. Alright guys, now for the runes part of the Orianna guide, we can run 3 different rune pages. The first one's going to be Phase Rush together with Mana Flow Band and Transcendent, because that's very strong right now. And Scourge if you can proc it very often in the game and in the lane as well. If not, if it's like a high range matchup like Siraz or Vel'Koz or something, you can go for Gathering Storm as well. Now for the secondary page, we are going Inspiration with Magical Footwear and Biscuit Delivery in most matchups. If it's a very hard matchup, for example, then we can go for Biscuit Delivery and Time Warp Tonic as well. And for these small customizable stats, we go Attack Speed, AP and Magic Resist or Armor, depending on which opponent we are playing against. So the second rune page, well, the Phase Rush, Mana Flow Band, Transcendent, Scourge or Gathering Storm is going to be the same. But now for the second page, we are going Domination with Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter. And the small stats are going to be the same. The reason why you sometimes want to go with Taste of Blood Ravenous Hunter is into a matchup where you're going to fight a lot. Like Victor, for example, you're going to fight him a lot, or Diana, for example, you fight her a lot. So you can go Taste of Blood Ravenous Hunter in these matchups. For the third and last rune page, we are going Unsealed Spellbook. So Unsealed Spellbook is very good into extremely hard matchups like Illusion mid lane, for example. When you go Unsealed Spellbook, you want to go Magical Footwear, Biscuit Delivery and Time Warp Tonic, and also start with the Corrupting Potion in the game. And for the second page, we have to go Sorcery with Mana Flow Band and Transcendent. Into Illusion, for example, you want to maximize your power in the lane because it's a very hard matchup anyways. So what you can do is go Scourge as well, like Mana Flow Band and Scourge. This is really good against Lucian, and if you're playing against Lucian, I would suggest going Double Armor. Lucian is by far one of the hardest matchups for Orianna together with Siraz, because Siraz just outranged you and Lucian can all-in you in pretty much every stage in the game without getting punished that much. And you can't one-shot him early in the game because he can go Hexdrinker as well. So you can go this page into Lucian, for example. The cool thing about Orianna are the many different ways you can play the lane. Against champions who are very bad in the early levels, you can generate a slow push and poke these under the turret to create pressure. There are champions who are very bad with last hitting under the turret. Against these champions, you generally want to hard shove the wave with Qs, which allows you to have a lane priority. Against champions who have very low cooldown on their abilities, you rather want to hold the wave in the middle of the lane and try to poke these guys with your Q. This part is the hardest to learn and to play correctly, since it has a lot to do with sending waves the right way and also dodging their ability to get control over the lane. The last one is against hard counters, who just push you in and you can't really trade them, because they all in you if you do so. In this case, you need to respect them and farm under the turret until you get your last chapter. So you can take actual trades which are okayish. For the matchups, my friend Lovepool from the Orianna main Discord has done a wonderful spreadsheet which shows all the matchups and special runes and everything you should know about matchups in general. The link to this is in the video description down below. Alright guys, welcome to the tips and tricks part of the Orianna guide. So we are going to cover a lot of tips actually, but I'll get through them really quick. Well, at least I try to. So let's actually purchase our items really quick and then teleport to mid lane because that's where we want to be. So let's actually get to level 6 as well, so we can have all our basic abilities ready and our ultimate ability. And despawn minion turrets and stuff like that. Alright, so for our first tip, I just want you to know that the W is very mana hungry. So as you know, a lot of matchups you're playing with Phase Rush, and for example, if this is our opponent here, if this is our opponent here, and you don't want to look for trades like this, like QWE and then walk away with Phase Rush. Yes, you're dealing an exceptional amount of damage, right? 300 at level 6 really good, with only Doran's Ring. But the thing is, you're wasting so much mana. Look, like I have like 2/3 of my mana already. If not for mana flop and Doran's Ring, which is recovering my mana. So what you rather want to do is you want to trade within Q, out attack, and then E. You still get the Phase Rush proc. You can actually get rid of some damage with a shield, and also it costs way less mana. And if you look at the damage, like this was Q, W, E, this was like a full rotation without the ultimate ability. And now if we do Q, auto attack, and E, then you see we are dealing only like 5 damage less. So the question is, why would you waste an entire 70 mana more for only 5 more damage, right? So this should like show you pretty easily that you should easily trade with Q, auto attack, and E, which is way better than QWE. So please incorporate it in your next games. Thank you very much. The next tip I can give you is to activate, like, be sure to have self-cast on E. I tell that to every supporter or everyone who has a shield or like any kind of self-cast, Lysandro R or something. Like for example, this enemy ignites you, right? And this is like a wild team fight. There are a lot of people actually here. Someone's here and someone's back here. And you're like, okay, wait, I need to eat myself. And you're like this, oh shit, I eat my teammate. Now I'm dying. Right, bam, you're dead. So what you should rather do is self-cast. Like, it's so important to self-cast. You can activate the self-cast option in abilities and summoner spells, and then scroll down a little bit, and then under the 1, 2, 3, under the fourth, under the fourth thing here, you can cast, put self-cast here. Normally, I think it's on Alt, and Alt is like pretty much, I have my my thumb on space all the time. So pressing Alt is like very easy for me. So what you rather want to do is like Alt E, and then this is like way better than randomly trying to E yourself in the middle of a team fight or something, because it's way better obviously. Now the next tip has to do with the E as well. Try to keep the ball on you. It gives you some resistance if you didn't know. It's not much, but it's still something. Orianna is very squishy in the early game. We're only level 6, but without armor, we would only have 29, which is literally nothing. And you see, I'm taking 31% reduced physical damage and 28% reduced magic damage, right? But if I move the ball away from me now, I eat 26% reduced physical damage and 22% reduced magic damage, which is like a lot more than when I hit the E on myself, 28 and 31. So please keep your E on yourself. This is really important, especially in the ending phase. Or when enemy are approaching you, if you see the junglers coming, press E on yourself, not only for the shield, but also for the resistance. This is very important. The next tip is try to auto attack in between spells. Just to show you how strong Orianna's passive actually is, I only have a Doran's Ring, right? I only have a Doran's Ring and only 24 AP. Now I do an attack, 21, 25, 30. So 21, 25, and 30, right? And you see, I'm doing 30 on every auto attack ideal after the third one. So this is really important. Now if we actually head over to the base and then purchase a little bit more items like Rabadons for example, maybe a Loon or a GLP, and then maybe, well, let's say Banshees because you just need it against the opponents. And then you have 419 AP, and now this gets a little bit stronger. We're not only having 29, no 21, 30, oh my god, 21, 25, and 30. But we will have like a lot more damage. Let me actually show you. With 80, with 96, and we have 130. So we have 80, 96, and 113. Um, so this is like a lot more range than we had before. And imagine you're dealing 113 extra damage with your auto attacks alone on every auto attack you deal after the third one. So it's really, really important as Orianna to use like a passive and make use of that extra damage. It's really, really beneficial in a lot of games. All right. For the next tip, well, it has something to do with Q. It's just something I see on like a lot of Orianna players struggle with putting the ball like in a team fight, where to put the ball like that. When there are like enemies trying to make the era mid, right? The era mid special, and someone's here, and let me put a ward we can see him, and it would be very dumb actually to walk to them and then Q them, just to ult them or something. That would be really, really bad because like when you're walking to them, you're getting catched. So what you want to do is before they're grouping and all, you're doing a Q before, or even if they're not grouping, like if they're grouping already, you don't walk to them and do a Q and then ult. You do a Q here, because this ball is just pressure, right? They can't move through this ball because then they're getting ulted. So this ball already grants a lot of pressure, and it doesn't put you in any kind of bad situation whatsoever. So what you want to do is before a fight, press Q somewhere, without any sort of like with a lot of safety. Maybe your teammates are behind here, and then they can save you in case you get a hit or something like that. And what you can also do is make use of the W movement speed, and then Q here and then move away. And since the field is on the same location, you basically, well, you can dodge something if they're throwing something on you. So basically you can do WQ and then still move away here, and then you have a lot of increased movement speed. Of course it's decaying, but it's still good movement speed you have to dodge ability stuff like that. It's like way better than just moving forward and just put a Q there, because this is bad. You don't want to do this, even though the Q would be really good because you can ult boss people, right? So think about that really quick when whenever you're doing team fight and stuff like that. All right, let me delete the dummies again. And this, for the next tip, this is something that happens to a lot of Orianna players who are new with the champion, and it even happened to people who are playing Orianna regularly. You have the Q here, right? You're farming a couple of minions here, and let me actually flash here and put a ward here. So you're farming minions here, everything is fine, you press a Q here, and then you see, okay, wait, there's an enemy jungler, an enemy Lee Sin who's low life, and my team is trading him, like if their teammate and he's trading them. And then you're pressing Q, and then the Lee Sin is not here anymore, but he's here, and then you want to press Q. Look how long the Q is flying. So I see a lot of Orianna players doing this. What you would rather want to do is either take the ball and then move to him, so you can like just QW him, or if the Q is here, you can E yourself and then QW. But never underestimate this range, because the range is really, really high on this, you know, where the ball blinks to you. So like the ball is here. Like this range is really long. So if you're sitting here at this point and you want to Q someone here, the ball travels all the way from here down to here. So always have the ball with you if you want to do something like this. It's really important. And this also happens a lot with Flash, for example. I've seen this couple of times in a coaching session, that someone wanted to go bot lane, and this was ally dummy. And there are enemies here, and they have the ball here just to gather vision to see if there's control ward or not. And then they're not taking the ball, but moving next to it if the ball is here or something. So what happens is they see this enemy and they flash, right? And the ball still travels all the distance. And while you flash to the enemies, they're just getting flashed, like they're flashing out, or they're just getting out, dashing out, or whatever. Thrash Lantern, you call it. So be sure to fucking take the ball and not flash or something like that. It's not good. All right. The next one is the ball is hidden when it's placed on stealth targets. People know this, but people don't like. They know this, but they keep forgetting this. So, for example, you have a lane opponent here, and your Kha'Zix is standing here, right? And let's say this is a control ward, and you have a control ward here, and this is, or he has activated red trinket, and you know for sure there's no ward here. What do you think the enemy does when you're like this? The enemy obviously moves away if he's not dumb, right? Because he knows you just shielded someone. It's probably a jungler, your top lane, your porter, whatever. So he runs away. So what you rather want to do is you want to go out of vision, right? And then ease the Kha'Zix. And because what happens is the Kha'Zix can ult and then move to this guy, and then you can ult when he's moving to this guy invisible. So this is really important to do your E out of vision, because if the E is on a stealth target, it's not seen, but it is seen if you actually move it from yourself to the stealth target. Works with Evelyn and Twitch and stuff like that as well. Alright, the next tip is people know this, but people don't do this often enough. You can face check the bush. This is very bad, obviously. What you can do, like, you can ward it. It's not as bad as face checking, but still fucking bad. But what you can do as well, you just fucking pull Q in the bush. For example, if you want this bush, you just walk there and Q it, and it's warded. And hey, we even see the scuttle crab. So if we see an enemy moving there, we can see it just by throwing a Q in this bush. And you can do this in every bush in Summoner's Rift. If we did it in this bush, you can see it. So if you control ward here and you want to clear it, you don't want to run here and then auto attack this control ward to that. You can do, like, you can put a ward here and then auto attack the control ward, but this is like essentially wasting a ward for control wards. This is not good. So what you can do is just press Q and then auto attack the ward and kill it. So you Q reveals vision in bushes. Alright, next tip is the ball can be moved or like hidden by terrain. For example, if you see this wall here, right? The ball is not getting like it literally gets like it gets soaked into this. You can put it here or here. Here it's seen again. But if you put it here or like behind a tree or something, the ball is not visible, right? And you can even play with this a little bit and put the ball like here, and the people moving here and they get hit by the shockwave, and they can't even see the ball because it's hidden. And you can do this on so many parts in Summoner's Rift, and I suggest you to go into Practice Tool like I am right now and test out all these little things where you can do this, so you know in the next game where you can actually like hide your ball in walls. So like this or like this. People don't see this. It's always like in these trees or in thick walls where you literally can't see the ball. This is really funny. You can sit here at the opposite side, like if a ward is here and enemy clearing that, you can do this and activate this if they're moving here. So it's like a free shockwave you can get. This is really important and sometimes just guarantees you a kill or even wins you a game. Alright. So the next thing, now we come to the ultimate ability. When you try to ult, please shield an ally and use ult when the ball is on the ally, because the range is like far extended. Like if an ally is here and you press E on him, the range is like way more. Like if we put a dummy here and you ult him, he still gets hit, right? The dummy was fucking here, right? Now if we shield ourselves and you see the Q radius is not really that big, so we put it here and then the dummy is here, he gets soaked in. But it's like a huge difference if he's standing here or if he's standing here. Like, look at this range. but you can easily shoot your ally and then ult. So this is really important to do in team fights, especially when you don't want to walk up to the enemies and try to Q ult them, but rather you can like use a tank or like a Maokai or something who just walks to the enemies and just like tries to do something with them, because it significantly increases the range of your ultimate ability. You can see this, like not increase the range, but you know what I mean. You can just like ult targets way easier when you do this and way more safe as well. Alright. Next tip is basically an animation cancel, or not an animation cancel, but well, is it an animation cancel? I don't know. But basically, when you are the opponent and you see an Orianna player doing this, you're like, oh my god, this guy is stupid, he wastes his ball. But what you don't know is that she can do this. So you can actually ult yourself and flash. Oh wait, that was the wrong direction. You can ult yourself and flash to opponents, right? So this is totally unexpected, and people like literally don't expect this because this is like happening. This happens so rarely. I would only suggest doing this though if you're in a straight 1v1 or something, because you're actually flashing into the opponent. So you don't want to do this in 5 people or something like that. And also if the enemy survives this combo, and if it's something like a Sylas, Yazoo or something, well, he's a melee range, you're a melee range as well. You don't want this. So you can, like with an Archangel, with a Seraph's Shield, or with Sonya's, or with Banshees even, if you're playing against AP opponents, you can actually survive doing this, but I would only suggest doing this in like a straight 1v1 when you're sure you're killing this opponent, but he would flash away if you do this. You can literally just like R and then flash. He won't expect this. This is like maybe people. No, people won't expect this. I tried to talk about situation, but no, people won't expect this. Alright, for our next tip, we well, this is like one of the last tips. This is you see this all the time. Like I press Q, the enemy's here, and I'm ulting him, and he gets back direct into the ball, right? And people know this, but people don't capitalize on this mistake that the enemies are doing. For example, if you're chasing an opponent and he's running away, right? You don't want to Q him and be on top of him and then ult. Because what happens is, if the enemy is smart, he can actually go back if you ult. Like, your ult has a lot of wind up time. Like, I think it's 0.5 or 0.75, I don't know. But it's not a second, I think. No, it's not a second. But something like along the lines, like 0.5 or 0.75. And if people have proper reactions and you have the ball exactly on them, they can actually move back. And what happens is, if they move a little bit back, they get dragged away from you. So even if you want to chase them, it's not possible to hit them anymore, because they are actually being dragged away from the ball. So what you rather want to do is think logically and try to actually like do the Q like this, so the enemy is put between two choices. The first choice is to actually stay here and die because of your W, your E, your Qs, your auto attacks, your GLP, whatever you have. Or the second choice he could make is like go through this ball. But what happens if he's standing here? He gets dragged in. You see this guy, he dragged in. You have to be careful with that though, and be very patient, because, well, when you hit the ball here and you're ulting, he's like, you're basically outplaying yourself if you do this. Same situation though, if he's running to you and you want to get rid of this opponent. Like, you're not pressing Q on him and ult him, because if he's smart, he can react to this and ult, and then he's literally like closer to you. So what you rather want to do is the same situation as before. You want to hit, like you don't want to hit the opponent. You want to press the Q here, because what happens is, and don't ult, because what happens is, they still want to chase you and they're here, you ult and they're getting dragged away. And this is really important, because people, especially on this chasing, like if an opponent is chasing you, I see so many people doing this and then this. And what happens is, I see actually a lot of opponents who are just going a little bit to this direction, and then they're getting dragged more into your direction as are closer to you. So you're getting like basically outplayed by yourself. And also they want to get damage on this guy. So don't, like, if you're chasing, if you want to get away, don't really think about the damage. Just do this and then wait, and then if they're moving along these along this boat and they're getting dragged away. So this is really, really important. And for the last tip, well, this is something very common and people already know this, but if you have a blue buff or if you're just coming out of base or something, you should just like activate your W. It costs a little mana, but it's fine because you're regenerating this mana on the wait lane. Or for example, if a Drake fight's ongoing and you don't have TP ready or something, you should W all the time, right? 7 seconds cooldown. Well, we don't have items. Normally it would be like 4 or 5 seconds cooldown, and then you can like press W all the time. You're getting a lot of movement speed actually, especially when you have boots then ready. And then you're way earlier at the fight. It saves you a couple of seconds or a couple of minions when you're running to the lane. So this is really important. And when you have blue buff, you can basically spam W all the way. Alright. So this is the last tip, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I think Orianna is a very unique champion with a very high skill ceiling when it comes to micro and macro gameplay. So if you look for a champion that can control the lane the early and mid game while one-shotting people in the late game and a strong teamfight champion overall, Orianna will suit you perfectly. If you like this video, leave a like, and if you enjoy watching these guides, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, then leave a comment down below or add me in Discord. The name will be shown here and in the description as well. Have a great day and a lot of face rush perks. Goodbye.